Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Dawnbringers, Ghosts of Saltmarsh Season 3, Episode 23, A New Dawn. Happening, our D&D stream happening every Thursday night, right here at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I do apologize for the late start. Literally moments before we were going to go live, my microphone stand broke in my hand, so I had to work some stuff around. So more so than ever, this is one of those times where I want to remind you about Patreon. Mini Terrain Domain is on Patreon. There's a Ko-Fi, and by the time this stream is done, there will be a new mic stand in the Amazon wish list. All of the links are below the channel here. I rarely promote the wish list, but that is something that is an option for people to support Mini Terrain Domain if you want to do it in the form of an item rather than a monthly donation or a subscription or anything like that. But any kind of support like that, even through domain dice and things like that, actually help the channel. That is much appreciated if you choose to do that. In the meantime, I do have this this extra, like, it's a large boom mic that's crowding me, and I don't like it. So if I look slightly uncomfortable tonight, if I kill a player, or rather a character, I won't kill any players. If I kill a character tonight, I blame it on the mic. Okay. Oh no, Scotty. I got Scotty. So,
you're saying it's Mike's fault?
Yes, it's Mike's fault. He's been hanging out in all of my chats for the crafting stream that's on Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. On youtube.com/Mini Terrain Domain. So I blame him. It looks like Shadow of Dragon dropped a 500-bit cheer that did not trigger the alerts, which is weird. Anyway, otherwise I would have missed it. Oh, it might have been before we went live. So I'm going to give you that domain die and use that as a wonderful segue to tell all of you about domain dice. Up here above my head, you see these mysterious glowing polyhedrals and the number 95 up there. That is because the Dawnbringers have 98 domain dice. Domain dice are a way in which you, the viewer, can have an influence on the campaign through a $5 tip, 500-bit donation or cheer, through subscriptions, resubscription, raids, all of that stuff. And those domain dice can be used. The players can spend them to re-roll the dice, force me to re-roll the dice, get out of rest healing, turn failed death saves into successful death saves, or turn a hit into a super critical, an automatic max damage ×2 critical hit. And Jeremy is not so subtly reminding you that we do have merchandise available at Teespring. Another way that supports the channel. There is a link for that as well, and you can buy that Ham or Die shirt that he's wearing, along with Dawnbringers and lots of other channel themed and RPG themed shirts. Ted's wearing his Mini Terrain Domain Tavern sign shirt. I love you guys. I know M's got a couple of different shirts. I've got a couple different shirts. They're very comfortable too. Comfortable shirts, comfortable sweatshirts. So check out that link. Let's see. We got down below M in the corner there. You will see a couple of logos for Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company. Mini Terrain Domain is a proud sponsor, or not sponsor, but partner with Jasper's Game Day, a wonderful organization founded right here in my home state of Michigan by Fenway, the teen DM. That organization is dedicated to raising awareness and elimination of suicide through tabletop gaming. And they have been running and appearing, rather not running, but appearing at cons all around the country. But I will be at the Michigan flagship Jasper's Game Day on May 2nd over near Detroit, along with Satine Phoenix and some other wonderful people helping to raise money for Jaspers. All of that money, including money that you may choose to donate through that link, goes to help fund crisis centers around the country. Another way that you can support that organization and get yourself a little something yummy for your tummy is by clicking on that link for Metade Roast Coffee, a wonderful medium Brazilian and Peruvian roast coffee that I hand selected along with my friend Dwight in partnership with Initiative Coffee Company's Help Action. For every 12-ounce bag of Metade roast coffee that you purchase, $3 of your purchase price is going directly to Jasper's Game Day and those crisis centers around the country. So be sure to check that out as well. While we're on the subject of mental health and suicide awareness, I do want to take this opportunity to let you know that we care about you. I know I say it every stream, but it's not because I'm being paid to say this. There's no nothing other than genuine concern for all of you out there and letting you know that you matter. Whether you believe it or not, your presence on our earth makes a difference. And if you're struggling with that, if you ever find yourself struggling with that at any time during any Mini Terrain Domain stream, you can type !help or take a look at the scroll along the bottom, and we have a variety of resources that are instantly available for you. In the United States, you can reach out to the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you are a veteran, you can press 1 after dialing that number and be connected to a veteran specialist mental health professional or trained counselor. If you prefer, you can text them at 741-741. If you are among our friends in Canada, you can reach out to the crisis text line by texting CONNECT for English or Parlay for French to 686-868, or you can call the Canada Suicide Prevention Services phone number in French or English at 1-833-456-4566. If you are among our many friends located in other countries around the world, you can go to the link provided there. That is opencounseling.com/suicide-hotlines. And there are a number of the hotlines from various countries around the world are available in that one handy resource. So please, again, do not hesitate to reach out and seek help if you need it. The last thing that I do want to say is I want to thank our friends over at D&D Beyond for granting Mini Terrain Domain Insider access. All of our D&D streams are powered by D&D Beyond. I love having instant and easy access to the vast compendium and, in particular, the monster manuals, so I can quickly threaten my players' characters on the fly with whatever my mind can concoct. There's definitely none of those shenanigans going on tonight. I see V scowling at that. But you can also mouse over the stream and see all of the wonderful characters and see what they look like, perhaps for one last time, with full hit points. I'm just seeing how many shocked faces I can get from V. So with that, we're going to conclude the announcements because it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. Lately, these Dawnbringers have been doing everything in their power to help the citizens of Saltmarsh, to protect them and to protect their friends. But the city of their town of Saltmarsh is just not having any of it. It seems that wherever the Dawnbringers go, destruction and death seems to follow. So they have currently, in the wake of a dragon turtle with a ironclad warship full of fantasy robots strapped to its back, attacked the town, and several people, we still don't know how many people yet, have perished from that attack. In the wake of that attack, the Dawnbringers have been asked to just leave the city proper, let them figure things out, and the council will meet and they will talk to them later. So they took all the refugees that they rescued back to the former slaver / smuggler house, now refugee sort of halfway house, 4 miles outside of town. Upon getting there, things were not exactly what they seemed to be, as all of the former refugees slowly started asking the Dawnbringers for their memories. Thorgarn, alone in the backyard, sulking, was the first to fall to some form of memories that became corporeal and began to steal additional memories from him until he fell unconscious. Then all of the other refugees began acting very bizarrely and attacking. Eventually, they were able to stave it off a bit, get all the refugees out that were the recent refugees, get outside of the house, and through some clever thinking between Drown's astute observations to this thing's reaction to fire, and Talmud also thinking to build bonfires around the house. They got everybody out just outside the edge of the property. They built a perimeter of bonfires, and they camped out, knowing that while they rested, so too did this eater of memories. The fires presumably have been kept burning throughout the night, but the light of the fires is now joined by the first slivers and then sudden glowing of a new dawn as the sun begins to rise. As the sun begins to rise, I will leave it up to you to determine who among you was maybe on the last watch, and when and how you go about talking to each other as you wake up and begin to formulate a plan. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
Drown would be looking to take probably on the last watch shift. So he's probably up when dawn itself breaks. So if anybody else is up.
I had a quick question. You've used the term steal memories. The things that we shared when we took that damage, do we no longer know those things?
Well, semantics. You do know those things. It's
Okay.
It's more that it's, and this would be something that you're kind of gauging as these memories are happening and you're reliving them. This thing seems to feed off of those memories.
All right. It's you used that, last session and this session. I just wanted to make sure, because some of the things that we've shared are negative, and not having them could actually be beneficial. So,
well, it only takes a moment to think on those memories that were resurfaced and know that they are still there.
Excellent. If nobody else is interested, I would have no problems being on last watch with Drown.
Okay. So one thing that Drown will do over the course of the watch is he'll go do it himself, or he'll take turns if you want to, but he's going to make sure that the bonfires stay stoked. And he's actually going to make sure that there's plenty of additional firewood, probably way more than they really need to keep them burning, certainly into the day.
Yeah, Thorgarn would have no problems, aiding and assisting with that. I was actually going to say, kind of the same thing. So you beat me to the punch.
Yeah, good. Sorry.
Is there a steady supply of wood in this area?
Yeah, you had that copse of trees that's not too far off on the approach to the house, and you were able to find plenty of deadfall and everything else you'd need, and if need be, there's plenty of trees in there if you needed to cut additional wood.
And there are a couple great axes on Mr. Talmud there, so felling trees probably would not be so much of a problem.
Good deal. So either way, Drown is going to make sure there's a nice, big, extra healthy supply of firewood. He doesn't seem too particularly chatty, but if you kind of strike up any sort of conversation, he responds, no problem.
So Cantriel kind of threw it out there. I was going to be a little bit delicate about joining our little cadre here. Is that something that you've got any interest in?
You certainly seem to get yourselves into interesting situations. I have a few things that I need to figure out, but I'm intrigued by the offer.
Well, despite interesting situations and despite the issues, we do some good, and we can always use another competent hand.
You have done a tremendous amount for these people.
Yeah.
Whether they choose to thank you for it or not.
They're believe me, their way of saying thanks is to get the hell out.
He kind of rolls his shoulders at that, and he says, at the end of it all, people are interested in living to see another day.
Yeah.
Don't expect more than that, and you won't be disappointed.
I think every once in a while, a thank you, a job well done is nice, but I don't do it for that.
You seemed distraught by some of the elders' attitudes towards you and the rest of the Dawnbringers. I understand it, but don't let them be an anchor around your neck.
Good analogy, considering your background there, sir. I of the Dawnbringers, I was the most outspoken about coming here. Most of the other group was against it. They didn't really feel that it was that it was going to be the best fit. And there was something about the message, about the help, it seemed like it would be a good fit for us. And since we set out, it seems like not but trouble here. And while clearing up the problems, finding some answers isn't really a problem, but the locals seem to want nothing to do with us, even after we saved people's lives, thwarted attacks. It's never enough.
Were you hoping to settle here, or is this your home?
No. I don't really know that there's going to be settling done by any of us anytime soon. But we were hired for a job, and we really haven't even had a chance to start the job because there's been so many other things that have gotten in the way.
What job?
We were supposed to protect the miners. We were supposed to, help get this new area inhabited and set up, if I remember correctly. But there's been one problem after another that's kind of gotten in our way. The town being a big part of that.
Something tells me that at least a few of your companions sniff trouble out on their own.
Well, I'm certain there's a lot to be said for those that take up the lifestyle of the adventurer, and there's there's kind of a standard thing that adventurers find trouble or trouble finds them, and we seem to be the kind that trouble seems to find us. And if it can't, we find it.
And it seems like you're well suited to the life that found you, or that you chased out.
Well, I was supposed to be just a priest. I was an acolyte. I was training to. I pulled up the anvil symbol that's around my neck. I was gonna, just stay at the forge and worship Moradin and look after me people. And like so many others, tragedy struck. And he looks over his right shoulder, but doesn't say anything. Does he see Father Greffin?
You do.
Had some tragedy, and before I could set myself aright, kind of got into a different mindset. Stumbled across my cousin there, and it seemed perhaps the Dawnbringers would get me upon a path that would see to where I needed to be, and it appears that that's been right. Moradin has accepted me and actually shown himself to me physically, had a conversation. Griveth, his goddess appeared for him when we were in the dwarven stronghold that we set free. It was very, very impactful day in my life.
Moradin. Valoran has told me of this one. It seems a serviceable god.
Well, sometimes you're the smiths and sometimes you're the anvil. So sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the anvil. Sorry.
Yeah. I sometimes think that Moradin might have done too well by his people and made them soft. But
Ouch.
I've learned that the dwarves are never soft.
The dwarves are what?
Never soft.
Yeah. I do the best I can. Talmud over there is tougher than me.
You said he was your cousin?
Yep.
I didn't realize you were kin. Interesting. He'll kind of shield his eyes and look toward the east. Should we wake the others? The day begins to wear on.
Griveth and Talmud are both kind of angry if you get them up too early.
Is it our intention to hunt out this creature?
I do think that that today we should do our best to cleanse the house. There's I think the refugees that are still in the house can be saved.
Drown shakes his head and he says, "There are no refugees still in the house."
I saw them.
You saw figments woven of whatever it is.
No.
You felt the sting of its touch. Do you think any townsfolk would survive having their selves ripped out of them by it?
'Tis true.
They're all dead. Every single one of them.
Well, I as much of a pragmatic viewpoint that is, I like to hope that there is a chance. And small that it might be, I am fighting for that chance.
He's quiet for a moment. Looks like he's gonna say something, but like catches himself, and he says, "I hope to be proven wrong. But we shouldn't let the day slip away from us. If we're going to kill it, we should be about it."
Sure.
All right. Yeah, Drown will say, I'll watch the house and the fires. You wake the others.
So I'll go over and begin stirring Talmud aggressively.
What? What? Oh, good morning.
Morning, cuz Drown is eager to be about our task.
Oh, okay. Sure. Well, I'm ready. Just let me get my axe here.
I figured we'll get, a meal into us before we set in.
I'm glad
Fires
you
are
said something.
Fires are still lit. House has
Good.
been quiet.
Are the creepy things still watching from the windows?
Yep.
That's unsettling. They watched us sleep. No problem. Not creepy in the least.
You didn't have any bad dreams, did you?
You know,
Did it leave you with any bad memories?
not that I recall, no. My head hurts a little, but sometimes I'm used to that in the mornings, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, with all the drinking and all the things you hit with your head, you should be used to it.
What? I don't hit that many things with my head, Thorgarn.
Walls, your cousin, trees. I'm certain that there's.
I'm going to get something to eat.
I'll begin, rousing everybody else as well.
Once everyone's up and getting ready to, start their day, get some breakfast together, Drown will come over to where everyone's gathered and say, I have something we can use against this creature. It seems to fear fire, but it will take me some time to prepare.
Doesn't happen to come in a ball-like form, does it? That might speed things up.
He tilts his head and says, a ball, no.
It's also an old house. If I think what you're thinking, we might lose the house.
It's a thorough extermination.
That is possible, but our plan is to go in through the basement, no?
You have to go into the house to go to the basement.
Isn't there a tunnel?
Don't we have to go through the water to get into the tunnel, though?
Yes, you have to hike back around.
Either got to go through the water or a really hard climb.
It should be mostly fine.
Mostly. That's assuring.
He shrugs and says, battle is chaos.
I'm chaos. That's crazy.
So he turns and starts to head back toward the Ring of Fires and pauses. How much time do you all need to get ready?
If I said 2 hours, would you humor that?
He draws in a massive lungful of breath and sighs, if it's necessary.
It's called sarcasm, Drown.
How much time do you need, Drown?
I will need a full minute before we go in.
How are we to get into the basement?
We can
Do
go
we
in
have
through
a
the
boat?
front door, if you're not worried about going in through the basement. Either way is fine by me.
I think the water would be quicker. Maybe we could surprise it. However, we do not have a boat.
For what I'm planning, the front door may be the only reasonable option. Surprise will not be with us.
Front door's fine with me. I'd rather that, honestly.
It is also the quickest.
It's the quickest, see?
Well,
If we're looking to wrap this up, we could just be at it.
then tell me when you're ready, and I'll begin. And then he heads off toward the giant pile of firewood that he gathered up the night before and goes and starts stoking one of the bonfires.
Drown, before you do that, I just want to
Yeah.
kind of flash back to at some point when you awoke for this last shift.
Sure.
upon doing so, you would have discovered that next to where you're sleeping, so that basically when you opened your eyes, you saw this package sitting right next to where you were sleeping.
Huh.
It is a mahogany box that the hinges and the inlay appear to be mithril. There is a very ornate hand calligraphied like tag attached to it with a simply the letter V.
Hi.
Yeah. And weirdly a crescent moon and an M. But it the box itself looks like it's probably worth about 300 gold pieces.
Nice.
It does have a latch on it. The whole thing is only about 3 inches by 6 inches, 3 inches deep by 6 inches wide, and about a foot long.
Oh, wow.
$5.
Interesting. All right. So he'll sort of take it. Is there anything written on it other than the letter?
Nope.
Sorry. Okay. So he'll assume that's from the lady and open it up.
Inside is blue silk. Laying on the silk are 6 items.
Ooh.
3 of these items are black opals. These translucent dark green gemstones with black modeling and golden flecks on them are each worth 1,000 gold pieces. Yet, perhaps more significant, lying neatly in a row, are 3 ivory goats.
I'm so happy.
These are the figurine of power, the ivory goats. So you can add the black opals in terms of, or you can add the. Well, I would prefer, since you have the gemstones, you add them as the gemstones, but they are worth 1,000 gold pieces each, which should be reflected. And then yes, you will add the figurine of power. Now, I will go ahead, just because we've set this precedent long ago, that I just tell you what the things do, so that
Drown's initial reaction will be just sort of like, when he sees the pearls, he'll smile a little bit, nod, kind of noting the rarity and perfection of them and their obvious value. Then he'll sort of frown at the statuettes, like, the hell am I going to do with this? And then when he picks them up, his eyes will widen as it's clear he's not holding normal pieces of art.
No, these figurines of wondrous power are definitely, you can feel the magic properties coursing through them. These 3 goats are always found together. They are incredibly rare. One of the goats is known as the goat of traveling. This goat can become a large goat with the same statistics as a riding horse. It has 24 charges. Each hour or portion thereof that it is in its beast form counts against that charge total. While it has the charges, you can use it as often as you wish, but when it runs out of charges, it will turn back into an ivory goat figurine and cannot be used in that way again for 7 days. The goat of travail will become a giant goat for up to 3 hours. Once that is done, it cannot do so again for 30 days. And finally, the goat of terror becomes a giant goat for 3 hours. The goat cannot attack, but you can remove its horns and use them as weapons, one becoming a +1 lance and the other becoming a +2 longsword. It takes an action to remove And the goat radiates a 30-foot radius aura of terror while you are riding it, and requires saving throws for hostile creatures in that vicinity, or they will become frightened. Once the 3 hours is up, you cannot use this power again for 15 days.
Cool.
So 3 magic goats.
Got some ivory goats.
Just what a man of the sea needs.
Yes. Need my riding goat.
All right. I wanted to make sure we got that in because it'd been like 3 sessions since the lady said she was going to pay you.
That's fine.
So you have received payment for the work
Sweet.
you have done.
Very good. I'll figure out how to add treasure later.
So we can return back to the present as you are. You were preparing to do something with the bonfire.
Poof. Yeah. So when everyone else is ready to go, so they can make whatever preparations they need to, and then basically when we're ready to head into the house, Drown will do his thing. So if there's anything else y'all need to do, just tell me when you's ready. All right. Well, if everybody's good, then when everyone has gathered and gotten their equipment together, Drown heads up to the bonfire that's probably about doubled in size at this point and is just raging and throwing smoke and shimmering heat waves. And he takes his staff, sticks it into the ground so it stands upright, and then holds his hands out, and his eyes begin to shimmer with that inner light when he's working his magic. As he starts to, it almost sounds like if you've ever heard a throat singer, he begins to chant in this deep bass rumble of his voice, and it flips between giant and primordial, particularly Aquan, and then shifts into Ignan, and the fire starts to leap and sputter, and you can hear it hissing and giving off these bits of steam as if it was being rained on or someone were spraying or pouring water onto it. And he continues this for a minute. Towards the end of that time, the logs begin to shift and crumble from inside the bonfire, and a massive plume of sparks and a great hissing of steam as a figure rises up out of the bonfire. It is large. It looks like it's mostly composed of flame, but has that, it almost looks like magnesium fire, like on a flare. So it's intense, bright white with kind of a greenish or bluish hue. And it's giving off gouts of steam as if it's fire contained in boiling water, and rises up to this vaguely humanoid shape. And it's kind of swirling and flickering. And Drown grabs his staff and looks over his shoulder and says, "There. Let us go burn this wretch out and reclaim what is yours." So I am casting Conjure Elemental and getting a weird Drown watery flavored fire elemental.
All right. Fantastic.
Cantriel would actually point to the house and narrow her eyes and mutter at the same time, "Mother, I think it's time to come out and play again." And bring out Mother's Shadow, and she's also shifting her target to the creature in the house. Because I can change it at dawn.
Ooh.
What is the effect you're using?
So I am using my...
Sorry, not you, Cantriel.
Oh, Cantriel,
the
right.
shifting at dawn. What is that?
Because they had the target with Sempre Cavatina. Because it was just a day ago that I pulled out the... Oh, come on, my screen's too big. Hold on a moment, please.
Is it the Oathbow property?
It's the Oathbow property, yeah. So that is something I can change the next dawn.
Yeah, what had you targeted previously with that?
The turtle. Right, because that was yesterday.
Yep, I'm just checking something.
I can choose a new one after the next dawn.
Right, but remember, you have to first make an attack at the thing to activate that.
I yelled at it last night.
So you will be able to
Okay.
use that if you see it and make an
Okay.
attack against it.
And
That's
we'll
what
do
I
that.
wanted to double check. I thought that's what it was.
Okay.
But yes, you do have that available to shift the target. Today.
Okay. And then mom's out playing too.
So yes, almost for a moment, the shadowy form of Melody seems to take longer to appear, not through any delay in the magic, but just through the in the wake of Drown's ritual and the bonfires everywhere, all of this in the morning sunlight, just everything seems to momentarily make her seem much more translucent than usual. And then there's this sort of as this sort of drowned fire elemental is sputtering and almost looks like this like lava spewing forth underwater, solidifying and reheating, the steam and smoke that's billowing off of it. Melody just sort of reaches her hand up and seems to twirl it almost like a vine, and it sort of and pulls it into herself and sort of almost like pulling a shawl out of this smoke and mist, and seems once again to take on that shadowy form you're used to. What about as you all are preparing to do this, what about Griveth? Griveth has been oddly quiet this morning.
Yes, Griveth had a strange dream last night. He was dreaming that he was on a beach, a much smoother beach than we're near now. I think the beach is like littered with all kinds of debris and wood and things, but this was almost like a totally smooth blue water beach. And he was kneeling down in the sand, praying to his goddess, and he kind of looks over and he sees the golden hilt of Dawnbringer that he had laid in the sand next to him. And as he glances down at it for a moment, this almost like a light snake comes oozing out of the blade, of the hilt of the blade, and starts to become erect and like stand in front of him. And as the light kind of forms, it's like a woman shedding light is kind of standing in front of him, and he's trying to like pray to Eldath, and the woman is just like, the light is just dancing in front of him, and she dances around him, and she puts her hands on his shoulder and is kind of rubbing his shoulder, and he's trying to brush her off, but she like won't leave him alone. And then that's when he kind of woke with a start, when everybody started waking everybody up. So yeah, Griveth is strangely kind of disturbed by this dream, and so that's why he's been so quiet.
As you are joining up with the rest of the Dawnbringers, you hear that feminine voice that is different than the voice of Eldath, that has spoken to you a couple times since you were given the sword known as Dawnbringer. You have much conflict in you. We will have to do something about that. Know this. Wield me with confidence, and we shall fight together.
I will.
And then you feel the presence of the voice of the blade recede. All right, Dawnbringers. The now the 6 of you, which is actually 8 of you, but even far more than that when we factor in Talmud and Thorgarn's ancestral spirits and corporeal memories. Yeah, the Dawnbringers are now rolling about 23 deep.
It's pretty much a whole ship crew.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget that Hermes is there too.
To be fair, I'm the only one that sees my entourage unless I'm raging.
Right.
And Talmud's ancestors only come out when he's raging, and he just changes personalities and what have you. So it's all good.
But visible, we've got all of you, an extra construct, a sputtering fire elemental, a fairy dragon,
a shadow mother.
Yes, a shadow mom.
Mm-hmm. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Where's the partridge?
In the tree.
She just said it, Thorgarn. So
the funny thing is the tree is actually coming along too.
Yes, it's an awakened tree. It's a partridge in an awakened tree.
I want one.
All right. So, what would you and your would you and your entourage like to proceed?
Straight to the trapdoor, then.
Yes, let us to it.
You should all have. You might have to scroll up a little bit, but you should all still have access in the chat somewhere to the floor plan maps I gave you. I guess I'll make it easier for you. This one has numbers on it, but you can ignore them. I will drop it into your chat, not that chat. That is the first and second floor. And then in case you are going, I'm also going to include the cellar and the caves as well. So you are heading in the front door, which is on the ground floor, area 1 in the center. Who is entering first?
I'll enter first.
Griveth pushes to the front.
Stay near me, friends. Eldath will give us her blessings.
You open the door. Inside, the house looks nothing like it did the night before. The previously cleaned, the interior of the house was cleaned fairly well initially by the refugees. There was still a bit of dust and some torn wallpaper that they had started to peel off. But everything had been swept and cleaned. But now what you see on the floor, it appears to be carpeted in moss. You see vines curling and crawling up the walls. The ceiling seems to be a crisscrossing branches of intertwined vines and multiple what looks like thin wooden branches of trees. You can see the paneling and remnants of the torn wallpaper. Hear a bare spot in the moss on the ground. You see the hardwood floor peering through. The air is filled with motes of dust. Somewhere in the ceiling, though you don't see it, the source of it, it's as if sunlight is streaming through the branches into this room, and you see the dust playing through these shafts of light as they come down. As soon as you enter, Griveth, you hear just constant whispering. And as you enter in, I want to say a huge shout out to Geekly Inc., who just rated us with 70 viewers. So welcome to Mini Terrain Domain new viewers. That raid, of course, is going to get the Dawnbringers another domain die. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, Griveth, you're the first one in. As you see this, who's coming in behind Griveth that would begin to see this as well?
What is this stuff?
You know what? Tamiko gives a good point. 70 a raid with 70 viewers is worth more than just one domain die. I'm gonna bump you guys up to, there you go, have another 5. Okay, who is coming in behind Griveth?
I think the dwarves.
Aye.
Talmud and Thorgarn.
I'll follow behind the dwarves with the fire elemental.
As Drown moves in, and then you hear this sort of groaning of the porch as the fire elemental steps up, and there's that sort of constant as it's just existing. What's that?
Is the fire elemental cleaning up the moss that's on the floor?
As it steps into the room, it sort of ducks down past following Drown, and it touches the door frame, and there's this sort of as it just barely touches it, moves past the wood of the door frame, now having this sort of blackened, soot-covered handprint. Thorgarn, are you specifically looking to see if it's burning away the moss?
Yes.
You notice that the fire elemental and your own feet seem to sink into the moss like a thick carpet. It has no effect on the moss.
I want to start with the edge of my weapon. Does it seem like
it does not react to the movement of your weapon? As you look closely at it, as your weapon moves, it's as if it's moving through an illusion.
Why vegetables all over the place? I don't understand.
It's to scare you, Talmud.
It's working.
Talmud, make a perception check.
I'm great at those.
Oh no. I just made V whip out her earbuds. Is that a little too creepy for you?
Don't like it.
You said perception?
Yes.
That's a huge 10. It's the biggest 10, just the bestest.
Hey, it's 2 digits. Not bad for Talmud.
Actually,
true.
Griveth and Talmud, make that an advantage. Griveth, you make one an advantage. Everybody else, as you're entering, V, you would make it at advantage. But Drown and Thorgarn, you'll just make a straight perception check.
That's a 15 that time.
12.
Just a 9 for Drown.
18.
25. Is my divine sense telling me anything?
It absolutely is.
Okay.
If it had a voice, it would be saying evil, 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 evil everywhere.
Is it giving me an idea what kind of thing this is? Like undead, celestial, fiend? A hallow spell?
You're not getting anything but just a sense of evil.
Okay.
It seems that evil, I'll say this, you sort of interpret that evil feeling as just pure malice. It doesn't have a fiendish origin. It doesn't seem to be any sort of ritualistic desecration or anything like that.
Okay.
So Griveth and Cantriel, You see something move across the room at the hallway toward the kitchen. You see a figure as it moves past. Talmud, you see a figure and you recognize it. You see a middle-aged human woman that you haven't seen in a couple of months, not since you left Oakhurst and she disappeared. As you see Vi. Oh, Talmud. Talmud.
Vi?
Talmud.
What are you doing here? He's going to start walking in that direction.
Talmud, stay near us.
Duran is going to clamp his hand down on Talmud's shoulder, shake his head, and say, "Trust nothing.
No.
If you see someone you recognize, it's lies."
Listen to Drown.
Of course, yes. Sorry. Please, we should go. I don't like being here.
To the basement.
I'm with you, Talmud.
The passage to the basement is in one of two directions. One is the direction in which Talmud was traveling, towards the back of the house, in that hallway where the figure is seen, where there is the trapdoor that you, or rather the stairs that led down into the wine cellar, Drown, where you had one of the two places you had disarmed or dispelled the magic mouths. The other one is in the room that the night before you were all dining in, that led into the sort of sleeping area in the downstairs. Which direction would you like to go? To the west through that hallway, or to the north towards the back of the house?
I would think west to go down.
Was I getting any feeling where the evil was strongest?
Everywhere. It's absolutely, as you reach out.
So it just kind of drowns out everything. It's just totally surrounding.
Yeah, you have that like out to 60 feet, which almost gets the whole house in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel it everywhere. Everywhere you reach, you don't feel a space in your area of sensing ability that doesn't exude this sort of malice.
Do you share that with us, Griveth?
Oh, definitely.
Then I highly suggest we stay together.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I imagine that even as you say that, Fig is like holding the crook of the arm of Hermes, and Hermes is just kind of like jogging in place, just trying so hard to move ahead, but Fig is holding him back and close.
And you would notice, Fig, that despite the appearance of there being this sort of carpet of moss, as Hermes is sitting there, not so much like jogging in place as just sort of shifting, lifting a foot, setting a foot down, just sort of doosh, 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 doosh. You hear, clear as day, his footsteps ringing off of the wooden floor. They're not muffled in any way by what would appear to be moss.
Fig, would you want a leash for that little fellow? Maybe some rope?
I think that he is fine. I will hold on to him, and he will learn, hopefully.
I'll take some rope.
You'll take some rope.
I think it's a good idea.
So I kind of like kick at the floor. If this moss ain't real, does it have a reason for being here?
Perhaps to frighten us.
This thing is a trickster.
Talmud.
Could it be some kind of trap? Is it?
Just tie this rope around my waist. Right.
Should I hold on to the other end so you don't run away out of the door?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Just a precaution, that's all.
I could loop it to my belt.
Did he need a tail? What you doing there, Talmud?
Seems to be a safety rope.
But it only matters if it ties the other end to something else.
How about to you?
Somebody take the other end, please.
Oh, fine. And she'll pick up the rope and kind of like just attach it to a hook on her belt.
How much lead is there?
Well, it's a 50-foot length. Let's say 20.
Okay.
I hope that doesn't come back to bite us.
Bite us in the ass.
I'm certain it will.
Hold on. New attack ability. Bite in the ass.
God damn it, Jake.
That's a multi-attack. All right.
It's a legendary action. You're right.
Okay. You're all standing in the foyer. And
Move to the west.
You're gonna go towards the west.
Yeah, I think that's what Thorgarn said.
Before we go anywhere, Cantriel, your ears are the best. Do you hear anything? Anything?
Well, give me a moment. Jake, does she hear anything?
Let's see. Passive perception of 20.
20?
You hear the whispering that seems to be coming from everywhere.
You don't need to reenact it. We're good.
Yeah, you do hear that. It seems to almost move through the trees. It ebbs and flows like a breeze. Sometimes you swear that you hear it saying, the moment you think you hear it say a name, you forget what it said. It seems to be just grazing the edges of familiarity, like somebody's name on the tip of your tongue, like a remembered smell, a single evening spent with somebody, a moment from your childhood. But as quick as it comes by on this sort of whispered breeze, it's gone.
Well, whatever it's saying, it's trying to stay subtle. But there's something out there, in here, all around.
This is be sharp, everyone. This is the most dangerous thing we've ever faced.
Who's leading the way towards the west?
I'll lead.
Griveth, as you move through the foyer and you turn down the hallway, you remember when you were first here and the house was empty, and then you had investigated the two offices on either side. And you know from the night before, this is the hallway that the simulacrum of Thorgarn entered, carrying the unconscious Thorgarn in its arms, where you all dined almost like a family the night before. But what you don't remember is the gaping maw with glowing embers of fire in the middle of the hall, right between the two doors on either side.
So there's no way to pass?
This is about 10 feet wide. It's 5 feet wide, the width of the hall, but it's 10 feet long, right in the middle of this hallway.
Friends, we have something.
Do we see it?
Yes, anybody looking down there would see this maw, this pit of fire.
Does it look to be interacting with the moss in any way, shape, or form?
The moss around the edges of this fire pit seems to sort of almost blend in with molten rock.
Does it look like a pit, or does it look like a mouth?
It looks like a pit.
That wasn't there before.
Is there any actual heat?
You step forward to try to feel if there's heat.
Sure.
You approach, kind of sort of just pushing past Griveth, and you reach out, and you feel nothing.
Careful, man, you'll get burned.
So I'll walk forward and sort of use the butt of my staff to probe the floor, because this illusion is covering pretty much everything that we could see about the floor and walls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and walk forward and sort of probe the floor ahead of me as I go.
You reach out where it looks as if it should dip down into the pit, possibly even burst into fire. And after just a couple inches, you hear the tuk, tuk of your staff touching wood. Solid floor.
All right, I will stride forward.
Griveth, you watch as Drown pushes past you and walks right through and seems to walk over top of this open pit. Completely unaffected.
More lies.
Oh,
I fear this thing is building up some kind of false sense of security.
we can't trust our senses.
Griveth and Drown.
Yes.
I need both of you to make wisdom saving throws.
Does this have anything to do with being charmed?
No.
Okay.
Is Drown close enough to Griveth to get his bonus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, plus 3 to the roll.
That becomes a 17.
Oh, uh-oh.
Oh.
I'm going to use a domain die. Okay, that's better. What is my thing? I should know that. Oh yeah, that's better. 25.
Griveth, you watch as Drown pushes past you and begins to walk across. And as you step across this, what you have determined, Drown, to be illusory terrain of some sort, rising up, appearing to rise and blend with the smoke rising from this pit. A tendril of smoke seems to solidify and wraps itself around Drown's ankle. Drown, you have failed your wisdom saving throw. I am now rolling 8d10. That's 10. Oh, a lot of ones in here. 11, 12, 13, 20, 27, 30, 36 points of psychic damage.
Owie.
Drown. As this happens, and you get halfway across this illusory pit, a memory surges forward. What is that memory?
Just sort of anything?
Yep. Whatever memory you choose from Drown's
So
past.
it would be probably an adolescent memory just on the cusp of coming of age. And it's he and a group of other young Goliaths from his tribe in the mountains. It's cold and crisp air. There's wind blowing across the stones and the snow caps. And they're playing goat ball, which is a Goliath game. If you're not familiar with it, they have to balance on poles and tall, sort of narrow stones, and throw essentially a medicine ball around at each other. It's full contact, pretty brutal, but also very friendly. And it is a go time sort of sport. So he is leaping from one post to another and hurling a goat ball toward one of his opponents to try and knock them off their post as he jumps.
There is a moment where during this memory, as you're stepping forward, you turn and one of the other adolescent Goliaths suddenly hurls the goat ball at you. And it's just like in the dream, as you are just as you're drifting off to sleep, and you have that sudden quick dream that somebody just threw a ball at you, and you sort of jolt. Griveth, you watch as Drown suddenly jolts and just sort of into the wall for a second. Drown, you will be rolling a d4 for all future rolls and subtracting that from those rolls.
Got it.
And Griveth, with your wisdom save at 25, I'm going to say that you saw this tendril rise up and wrap around Drown's ankle.
Can I see the tendril after it grabs a hold of me or no?
You're not currently aware because you were caught up in this.
Okay.
And anybody else looking down the hall would see Drown's sudden reaction.
Is it like misty?
It was, and then it solidified. It seems to be coming out of this illusory fire pit, but near the top.
So are Talmud and Thorgarn still at a negative?
No, I had mentioned that in the chat. You guys took a long rest, so you are no longer have any negative effects.
Excellent.
So if I leap forward and attack, does it hit it?
You're going to attack the tendril
Yes.
that's wrapped around Drown's leg.
Well, the base of the tendril or whatever.
Okay. I mean, you can attack it, but it's all that you can see is what's wrapped around his leg.
Oh, I see.
His foot
Okay.
connects to the floor.
Yeah.
And then it's basically, that's where it becomes visible, is where it sort of wended its way up his calf and up towards his knee. And
Gotcha. Okay. I won't attack then.
okay. I didn't think Griveth would do something like that.
No.
Just wanted to be clear.
I don't want to put anybody in harm's way. Well, he's kind of in harm's way, but I'll try to pull him away from the tendril then.
Okay. Do you resist at all, Drown? As Griveth suddenly grabs hold of you.
How much, do I come back to my senses at all?
You're fully back to your senses after you just had that momentary jolt. You
All
feel a little. You definitely feel that something just took something out of you.
Right.
You feel
So
weaker.
He'll stagger back against the wall and kind of clench his teeth. Is that thing still grabbing his foot, his leg?
If Griveth grabs a hold of you and starts to pull, and you don't resist, you would feel it start to slip away.
I want to grab the tendril and haul it up.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, give me a strength athletics. We're gonna do a contested.
So I'll
roll
help
here.
him. Like
Okay.
he's pulling
So-
it and I'm pulling him. So
Yep. Go ahead. Do that with advantage. I'm going to also
advantage minus a d4. Got it.
minus what?
Minus a d4 for the
Yes.
the memory. All right. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Only a 1 on the d4, so that's going to be a dirty 20.
You reach down and you grab hold of it, and you feel it start to slide through your fingers, and then you just do that thing where you just give it a quick and sort of wrap around, and you feel it straining against you, but you're able to get a hold of it and start pulling up, and you feel it give a bit. Like there's some flex to it.
The tendril is giving. Oh, it's okay.
It's got some flex to it.
It's a little elastic.
Yeah.
Does it feel like there's something attached to the end of it? Heavy?
Yes, it disappears into what you're pretty sure is the hardwood floor below this illusion. And based on what you saw last night, it feels like it's probably coming up through the floorboards.
Right. All right. Then Drown will say, "I've got it. It's below the floor underneath us. Get it." And he will bark a word in Primordial at the fire elemental and have it start trying to burn through the floor.
Okay.
Smash the floor.
Yeah. So, if at all possible, I want to have the fire elemental try and smash, burn its way.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, no. The fire elemental can slip through the spaces in the floorboards.
They have to be at least an inch.
At least they're not
Correct.
an inch. Okay.
No,
it has to
I
be an
mean, this place is in bad shape, but it's not in that bad a shape. The
Okay.
floorboards are probably more like, I mean, they have maybe like 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch gaps.
So maybe, let's see, one target. Yeah, so maybe it can burn or break a big enough space that it can slip through. So we'll see what it can do.
So, given this action,
Mhm.
and because you got the upper hand here, I'm going to, regardless of how this shakes out, I'm going to let your fire elemental take one first round action.
Oh, okay.
We're going to roll for initiative.
Sure.
All right, where did my pen go? All right.
And I have to roll a d4.
All right, Griveth, what you got?
Oof.
For initiative?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, crap. I got 2.
All right, Cantriel.
So did a 15.
Fig.
Dirty 20.
And Hermes goes on your turn after you. Fig, what is your dexterity modifier?
+1.
Okay. Thorgarn.
5.
Drown.
On a 16.
Talmud.
I got a 21.
Ooh, fast work.
Does your fire elemental go on your turn?
It has to roll its own,
Okay.
which I have done. It has a 7.
So fire is 7. Okay, here is our initiative order. That's going to be Talmud, the Memory Eater, Fig, Drown, Cantriel, Fire Elemental, Thorgarn, and Griveth. But before anybody does anything, your fire elemental gets that one free action versus the floor.
Okay. So it's going to try and smash its flaming touch into the floor. It hits an armor class of 18 and deals 6, 11, 14 points of fire damage.
As soon as it reaches down, you can't quite see it, but you can hear the splintering of the wood. You sense that it won't take much at this level of activity to break through the floor. These are old boards, not in great shape, and it seems to be succumbing under the might of a fire elemental.
Okay.
So now, in initiative order, Talmud, you have the first action. Now, keep in mind, so far, the only real activity you've seen is Drown and Griveth sort of tussling a bit at something, and then the fire elemental suddenly at Drown's command begin attacking the floor. And you do still see Vi.
And Griveth had shouted to smash the floor.
Yeah.
So Talmud is going to reach to his back and put his hand on the haft of Gerta and bring around the maul, this ancestral weapon that he carries with him. And he's going to move forward to stand opposite from where this fire elemental is. And he's going to bring the maul up kind of over his head behind his back and then bring it down once, and then is going to heft it, sliding his hand up towards the head of the maul, and then come down for a second strike.
Okay.
Do you need attack rolls?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, dear God. The first one, my bonus is, that's a 10 on the first one.
That's going to hit. You're striking the floor.
Good. Well, I rolled a 2, so thought it might matter. The second is a 22.
Ooh.
Yep.
Fuck you, floor. Okay. Let's see. That's a maul, so it's 2d6. Guess I could actually look on my sheet. Not raging. So the first one's going to be 10 points of bludgeoning. And then it'll be another 10 on the second.
Dan, how much damage did the fire elemental do?
14, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely see splinters of wood flying as Talmud rushes in and begins striking down. All right, so we've got 6 of you there. Anything else, Talmud? I believe that's the extent of your turn.
Yeah, while I might seem incredibly angry at this floor, I'm not quite raged at it yet.
Cantriel, you hear the whispered wind pick up again. And you feel like there's something there. Almost as if somebody has just lightly passed behind you and dragged their finger from one shoulder across the nape of your neck into the other shoulder. And as you turn, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Add +3.
Cantriel is not within, there's no way she's within 10 feet of you because of this hallway.
Yeah, that's going to be a 6.
I just dropped a die. So
Remember, you can choose to pass instead.
Well, I guess I'll be using another domain die.
Well, you actually, that's a property of the bracers that Thorgarn gave you. Remember, they each offer 1 legendary resistance for wisdom saves.
Okay, let's try it again then. 8.
No, you can just choose to succeed. With
Oh, choose succeed.
Yeah, you just
All
choose to succeed.
Then I succeed because clearly the dice are not on my side right now.
And that's a once per day feature, so you have used that. You feel for a moment as you feel the sensation that somebody familiar was there, and you just caught them out of the corner of your eye. And as you whipped your head around, they were gone. And Fig.
Fig is, since he didn't really see what initiated this and just
hold on. It's not your turn yet. Sorry, I was pausing dramatically.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, because I'm like, oh yeah, you are next in the initiative order. You see something out of the corner of your eye. Over by the door where you all came in. Just as Cantriel turns kind of in the direction of the kitchen after whatever it was that she sensed. You turn toward the door. Standing in the doorway just inside the house is a small boy about 7 years old. He's wearing what looks like they may have once been really nice clothes of nobility, though a bit out of style. He looks at you and he cocks his head to one side. I don't understand. Why can't I see your memories? And it is now your turn, Fig. I'm sorry, but all you're doing is feeding into my evil DMness, V, every time I see you react.
Is why
Keep
I don't
it
play
coming, it's
poker.
more power.
If you run, he has to chase you. It's his way.
No!
So it is actually your turn now, Fig.
So, Fig, he looks back towards this boy, and but he hears the call that Griveth had made to destroy the floor, and I think that for the moment he turns his attention half back towards where the fire elemental was and Talmud were digging into the floor, and you see he outstretches his hand towards that spot, but he doesn't make any further movement other than that. But you immediately see almost like the front part of his hand slough off, like just kind of expand down into the space beyond, and it slowly grows larger and larger, and then it clenches into a fist and drives down into the ground, and he is cast Bigsby's hand, but
Nope.
Bigby's hand.
He cast Bigby's hand.
So he used his bonus action to have it do a clenched fist, which is a melee spell attack.
No matter how many times I search D&D Beyond for Figby's hand, it still never turns anything up.
So that is going to be a 21, I believe, to hit.
Yep, that's definitely a hit. You only need to hit an 8 to hit the floor and do
Perfect.
damage to it. So go ahead and roll that force damage.
Nice. 1, 2, 3. That is going to do 11, 17 points of damage.
Griveth, Talmud, Drown, and Fire Elemental all need to make dexterity saving throws as Figby's hand appears and goes right through the floor, right where you're standing.
All right. So I'm next to Griveth, so that's nice.
Yeah, so those would all be at +3 for Griveth's bonus.
So with my D4 reduction, that drops to a 19.
Okay, you're good. You just sort of kind of where you were up against the wall, you sort of grab a hold of the wall and pull yourself forward.
So here's the thing. Am I going to have to let go of the tendril to
well,
keep
actually,
myself
yes.
from falling?
In order to stop yourself from falling, you would have
Nope.
to. Okay, so you're just
Then
going
I'm
to fail.
falling in the drink. Yep.
Okay. Fire Elemental. How the Fire Elemental fare?
Fire
Gets the
elemental, that's
+3. Thorgarn. Or no, not Thorgarn. Talmud.
Got a 23.
Not being discriminatory towards dwarves, are you? Unable to tell us apart?
The fire elemental got an 18.
Okay. The Fire Elemental seemed to anticipate as Figby's hand came in and just stepped back in a surprising dexterous move. Talmud manages to step back as well. How'd Griveth fare?
And trips Griveth. I got a 10.
So Griveth and well, you were helping Drown pull the tendril, so it makes sense
Yes,
that you
yeah.
would fall in.
It does, yeah.
So Griveth and Drown disappear into the floor. And
Whoa!
it appears as though they disappear into the illusion of the molten fire pit. Griveth and Drown, you will each take 6 points of bludgeoning damage as you land down below. And you, let's see, you wound up 20, 30, Or 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's a good thing they moved that table out of the middle of the basement, or else you would have landed right on the edge of that. You do crash onto the floor just a few feet away from where the beds are. And down here, though you are in the first level basement, it looks as if you are in a dark cavern illuminated by purple glowing fungus. It is...
It's a good thing that Griveth fell down with me with his aura of protection. I managed to maintain concentration on the fire elemental.
Excellent.
After taking falling damage.
Oh yeah, this would be a bad place to lose control of the fire elemental.
Nor would.
Drown.
Yeah.
It will be your turn when we return. I suddenly realized it's 10:15 and we haven't taken a break yet.
Oh no! All right.
So we are going to take a 10-minute break. We will be back in just a few minutes. Again, thank you to everybody who has stuck around from that raid, from Geekly Inc., as well as everybody else who was already in the chat with us or has shown up afterwards. I see a lot of people decided to follow the channel, some subscriptions going on in there. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Please stick around for the edge of the break, and we'll see what happens on the other side. We will be right back. And we're back. We are in the middle of combat as they're fighting the scarcely seen Memory Eater. And just because Tomiko's been hyping it up in the chat for all of our new viewers, and there's been a request for it, we're going to see how the Dawnbringers do as they attempt to hold on to their memories. Drown. You've just fallen through into the basement level, into the very same room in which you first encountered the Dawnbringers barely a week ago. You are still grasping hold of this tendril. Griveth has fallen in alongside you, and you do feel, though for a moment you're dazed from this fall, you feel for a split second the fire elemental as if it's going to slip out of your control, but you maintain that control. What would you like to do?
All right, so I still have a hold of the tendril. Can I see what it's attached to in this room that now looks like a cavern?
Give me a perception check. Do you have dark vision?
I can see perfectly in darkness, better than dark vision. It's like actual light for 120 feet.
Oh, then you may do so at a straight roll, because there still is this illusion of this being a dark cavern.
All right. Oh, holy moly. All right. Even with my Garbaggio perception, and my minus D4, that is still going to be a 14.
You can see for just a few feet that this tendril seems to move into what almost looks like the cavern floor, and what looks like there are like thin, pale vines running along the ground. And after about 6 feet, it seems to blend into the vines, and they go everywhere. So you can't quite get a sense on where it originates.
All right. Then I'm going to basically grab a hold of it and start hauling it out of its hiding place if I can.
Go ahead and
sort of like pulling at it and sort of following it, if you know what I'm saying.
So you're going to use it sort of like a Ariadne's thread through the maze, and try to follow it. Go ahead and give me another contested strength roll as you attempt to hold on to this tendril.
Okay.
And because you're trying to maintain the control, let's see what your roll turns out to be.
Okay, so that is going to be a 24, drop to a 22 because of the memory die.
So, I rolled a natural 20, which makes its strength a 22.
Oh!
As you go to take a step, you feel that as soon as you're 1 foot, as soon as you don't have all of your weight distributed, you feel it threatening to pull you off weight. So if you choose to maintain hold of this, all you're going to be able to do is hold your ground.
I'll keep hold of it.
Okay. So there's this brief contest.
I
you're holding.
That required my action.
Yes, that was an action to maintain it. Basically, you were determining whether the strength of your roll, how much you beat it by, would determine if you moved at difficult terrain speed or at full speed.
Got it.
So that is then going to take us to Cantriel. You're sort of still in that 4-year area. You've just seen and heard the commotion of the floor crashing, Drown and Griveth falling down below. Fig is near you, having just cast Figby's hand. Talmud is near you, and Thorgarn, or actually Talmud is in the hallway. Thorgarn is near you. There's a lot of people to keep track of where they all are.
Yeah.
And Hermes is still there, sort of standing next to Fig as well.
Okay. Well, I think Mother will have seen the tumble into the darkness. So I'd shoot a glance over my shoulder at her, go check on those two. And Mother will go down and follow suit through the hole in the floor. And I'll move up to the hole. Like, how far away is that, distance-wise?
Well, you can clearly see that there is what appears to still be a fiery pit of molten lava. You don't see a hole in the floor. You just saw where they went through.
Okay.
But as the shadow that is your mother moves forward, she sort of makes this weird sort of like looks at you and then just gives you a and disappears down into it. So
Okay.
you can surmise that basically where the pit is also where the hole is.
Okay. So then, distance wise from the door, how far is it?
From the front door?
Yeah, from where I'm standing to the pit.
Let's see. That's going to be... Well, you'd be up in the middle of the room, parallel with the front door, be 15, 30... About 35 feet.
All right. So I'll use.
I'll call
all
it 30 because based on the way you guys were moving in, you were sort of at the mouth of that hallway.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about 30 feet.
Okay. Then walk up to the hole. And it's the illusion, right?
Correct.
Oh, phrasing now. Can I Misty step? It's the question. Down. No, because it's an illusion, right?
You have to be able to see your destination.
Yeah, that's just it.
I'm
was
checking
phrasing.
something real quick. Okay, so Cantriel, go ahead and make me a investigation check.
Okay. That's going to be a 19.
Knowing what you've seen, and I would say anybody now who has witnessed this happen can make this intelligence check. As you've all seen now that this is illusory. So go ahead and make those intelligence checks. Cantriel, you look closely at it, knowing that Fig just punched a hole. I mean, Figby's hand's literally just floating in the air as in fist form right there. You look, and everything seems to just grow almost translucent. And it now appears to your eyes as though it is a mild, translucent illusion superimposed over reality. How did everybody else fare on that? Talmud, you still see fire pit and you see carpeted moss.
Did I need to make a check since I've already determined that it was an illusion?
You do. Because it's more you're determining the nature of the illusion.
18.
You also are able to now see it as a translucent overlay. Same goes for Fig. How about Griveth? What'd you get?
I got a 13.
Griveth, you're still seeing the cavern everywhere around you in the basement level. And how about Drown?
15.
You, for a moment, the illusion persists, and then it fades. And for you, Drown, as the illusion fades into this sort of superimposed, and you no longer see that tangle of illusory vines,
right?
You can now see where this tendril that you're holding goes.
Oh, now your mind's scum.
And it has seems to be coming from the fireplace.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well.
So now with that, Cantriel, you're standing at the top of this hole that you can now see through. It's about 10 feet, 12 feet down to the basement floor.
So then I'm going to Misty step myself down.
All right.
Bonus
you
action.
do so just and reappear.
And I can see everything that was just described, correct?
Yeah, because you've disbelieved the entire illusion.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to start shooting at the tendril thingy. See if I can do some damage to it. But I think I might use my fire arrows.
Okay.
Okay. That's an extra d6 damage. So Why can't I find a D8? Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm using a Muse die. Ooh, okay. Does a 25 hit?
25 will hit.
Okay, so that's 10 points piercing plus 3 fire.
So you watch as this arrow strikes into this tendril, and it seems to, where it strikes, it seems to turn into this sort of fibrous nature, and you've split it, and it's sort of like all of these muscle tendons just go, or muscle fibers just go, and then it reknits itself.
Okay.
You see it clearly because for a moment your fire from your fire arrow travels along it for a couple feet in either direction before just going and fading away, as it seems to do, much like previously the night before when you attacked the tendrils. It doesn't seem to have any lasting effect.
Okay.
We have to find its body. Kind of wrap his forearm around it.
Wonderful. Shoot, well, I have one more attack on it, but I think I'll just do straight up instead of another fire arrow because I have one of those left.
You do also have movement.
No, I used
Oh
it
no,
all.
you use your 30 feet of movement to get to the pit.
Yep.
That's
There's
right.
also Mother. She could, life
Yeah,
drain it a
Mother
little
does
bit.
go after you.
Yeah. So I'll just shoot one more arrow just to see. 17 hit.
17 is a hit. And you see the same reaction.
Okay. So then Mother is going to go up to what she can grab of the tendril, and that is her life, or her strength drain, rather. That's 2d6. So, all right. Does a 13 hit?
It does not.
Okay.
So your mother, the shadow, reaches down and tries to grab hold of it where Drown has it sort of raised up off the ground. And you see as her shadow fingers are sort of twining around it, and they seem to sort of blend in, and she's will momentarily get a hold on it, and then it seems to slip. She just can't get a strong enough grip on it to enact her strength drain.
Okay.
That's going to take us from Cantriel to the fire elemental.
Ooh,
It is up
all
above
right,
you.
So Drown bellows another order to it in Primordial. It's going to drop through the hole, kind of like hang and drop as much as it can.
Yeah, it
And
just
with
sort
a
of
sound-
like one hand on the floor and just sort of vaults down, no problem.
Yep. And it is fast. It's speed 50. So it's going to follow the tendril through the fireplace looking for this thing's body.
So it's just going to travel through the fireplace?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's its movement speed?
50.
50. So that's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'll get it to the fireplace.
Okay.
It moves through the fireplace, no problem, as it just
Yep.
sort of shifts and just 35, 40, 45. It gets about 15 feet into the room.
Okay.
Where the fireplace passes into the wine cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see through its eyes? I don't believe
no.
you can.
No, absolutely not.
So
it sheds bright light for 30 feet and then dim light for an additional 30.
So you see firelight, this sort of greenish firelight spilling out from the fireplace, as if somebody just lit up the Flu Network, I guess, in Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Can it see where the tendril ends, or is it still following it?
It at its movement, I will say that it can see, but it can't get to it.
It'll dash then.
So that's going to be another 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 25 feet will take it to the very northern wall of the wine cellar. However,
So, yeah.
I need you to make an intelligence investigation check for the fire elemental.
Sure. That's not going to be great. Nope, that's a 9.
It stops
Okay.
because it's reached the wall. of what to it appears to its eyes as though it just passed through a small crawlway and is in a dark cave.
Okay.
Well, not dark to it because it's illuminated by its own firelight, but it appears to be in a dead-end cave to its own eyes.
Can it see the tendril or no?
The tendril to
wall?
its eyes appear to come straight out of the wall.
All right.
Also, because I don't want to miss these, you guys have earned a couple more domain dice as we got some of our new viewers subscribing to the channel, so thank you for that. I want to get you your domain dice. You're at 110, so looks like I'm taking them away, but I'm not. You're at 111 domain dice.
Nice.
All right. Oh, there's 112. I see another one in there. Tamiko's just gifting all the new viewers some subs. Thank you, Tamiko.
Thanks, Tamiko.
All right, so that is the fire elementals go.
Okay.
Thorgarn.
So what happened when Cantriel attacked the tendril?
Nothing.
It's just like the night before when attacking the tendril seems to dissipate into these tiny fibers and reform around whatever attacks it.
Tendrils appear to be immune.
All right, so I saw the fire elemental go into the chimney, right?
Mm-hmm.
But chimney's not.
No, you all know that the fireplace is open between these two rooms. Remember? That's where you were like peeking.
Yeah, you've been here before. So the room that's below you is the room for the infamous critical ham.
Right, where we met Drown and we fought the slavers and we had a argument over killing people and what have you.
Yep.
So would I don't remember where there was a wine cellar though. Not that Thorgarn knows.
You all did not actually go very far into that room. You went in just enough when you heard Drown coming and you hid from him because there was a secret door that went in there.
Okay.
And there was a dead body in there.
And I think some people were peeking through the pass-through fireplace.
Yep.
Because they could see his feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is also the location that the refugees that Laramie actually told you about. He said that there was a dead body down there, and that they
got her new hat or his new hat.
No, that was in a different room.
Okay.
But this was where the dead body was full of rot grubs that almost killed a couple of the refugees.
So can I lower myself down and kind of look around?
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of just lean down, hang, and drop. And you can
apparently ride a motorcycle?
Apparently somebody has decided to burn rubber right in front of my house. My street is 20 feet the other side of my camera.
We call that compensation.
Yes. So, what? I was distracted momentarily. What were you doing?
So I'm going to lower myself down.
You lower yourself down. You are able to see through this illusion. You no longer are affected by this hallucinatory terrain. And you can see that Drown is holding a tendril that disappears into the fireplace.
And I was able to see, I know that there was a secret room back there before, right?
Yeah, you guys were all fully aware of that.
And you can see the light from the fire elemental pouring out too.
Right, yep. So can I open the secret patch and look in?
Yeah. That's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 20. It's going to take you 30 feet of movement to get to the fireplace.
Okay.
It'd be another 15 feet or 10 feet of movement to get to the secret passage.
All right. So I will use my action to dash or move.
All right. So doing that, then you get in there, you open up where you know the secret passage to be, and you go into this room and you see this sort of hallucinatory terrain overlaying this 25-foot wide and about 50-foot long cellar. Stairs from the kitchen at the back of the house descend. The fire elemental is standing at what should be, and from the sides, it looks like it should be the back of the wine cellar. But you see that there's an extra 20 feet of space hollowed out in the rock. In this space, Thorgarn, you see a 12-foot high, 25-foot wide, 10-foot deep space in the rock. But that space is filled with a glowing, sort of reddish, sort of slime ooze looking substance. It's pulsating. Inside it, you see the shadows of a dozen human forms peering out from where they're just like almost looking like somebody just about to break surface tension. You can see the faces of Laramie and Velitha, Keegan and Allison, and the other original refugees. Whatever this slimy ooze thing is, and this tendril extending outward from it, it appears to have all of the refugees held in some sort of stasis within it.
So I yell, I guess, up through the hole, found it! Now, ready my warhammers.
All right. That is going to take us to Griveth. Standing next to Drown, where you just sort of picking yourself up off the floor. And you hear Talmud, or you hear Thorgarn from the other room. Found it.
Am I am I seeing the illusionary cave?
What was your remember what your wisdom save
13.
was? 13. You see cavern all around you. You do see a crawl space about 35 feet away that has a green glowing fire light from Drown's fire elemental, where it went through this, and you see Drown appears to be holding what tendril that blends into a bunch of vines that are covering the floor of this cavern.
All right. Is everybody down here, or is somebody still up top?
Fig's still topside at least.
Fig, Hermes, and Talmud are all still up top. Talmud, just for a note, your rope went slack when Cantriel Misty stepped down below. You are no longer tethered to her. All right, Griveth, what are you going to do?
All right. So they all seem to shimmy down with no problem, right?
Yeah, they basically just sort of do that thing where you kind of sit on the edge and grab it and lower yourself down. So nobody's been having any trouble getting down.
Okay, cool.
Just us.
So
Yeah,
I'm
just
going
you
to
guys.
turn.
Well, that was because Fig helped you.
I'm drawing Dawnbringer, and it does cast sunlight. Does that seem to affect anything when Dawnbringer activates?
And bursts forth in radiant light.
Let's see. You can now see the cavern illuminated very brightly.
Cool. Okay, so Griveth is going to move closer to Drown and check out what's going on in that next room, and then move past. Thorgarn is already in the next room, right?
Yeah, you're already next to Drown. If you get any closer, you'll be in his pocket.
Oh, okay.
The two of you were basically holding you were holding him to help pull the tendril when you fell. So, if you're gonna go towards the fireplace in the other room, it's 40 feet to the door.
Okay.
It's 30 feet to the fireplace.
Okay. Then I'll just move as far as I can, which is 30 feet, and still.
That'll put you at the fireplace, and if you simply look down, you could see through what to you appears to be. I mean, you know that this is where the fireplace was, but it looks like it's just a crawl space. And just sort of looking down, you can see Thorgarn standing in there with his weapons drawn, standing next to the fire elemental at what looks to be the back of the cavern.
Okay. Do I see anything moving around or anything in there that would look like it's dangerous?
Other than Thorgarn and the fire elemental, you don't.
Okay.
You know what? I will check something.
Okay.
Real quick. Let me go back a couple things here. Go ahead and give me another investigation check as you're peering through there.
Okay. 10.
No, you don't see anything but what I've already described.
Okay. So I'm just standing ready with Dawnbringer. And if anything jumps out on us, I'm gonna attack it.
All right. So if it looks like he kind of stops at the fireplace, Drown will say, "Get in there. It's an illusion."
All right.
What fireplace? It's a cavern.
Okay, then.
Are you crazy? It's a cavern.
I just love that. Get in there. It's an illusion. What fireplace? Okay. All right. Sure.
Oh, it is so tempting right now.
Okay. Talmud, you are up above. Everybody has apparently jumped through this magma pit in the hallway. The rope you had secured to Cantriel is now loose. Hermes and Fig are at the end of the hall. Figby's hand is hovering in fist form above you, and somewhere in the other room you saw Vi. What would you like to do?
Kind of reaches down and pulls up the slack of the rope and kind of produces the other end still tied in a loop. You see, this is what I have to deal with. This does no good at all anymore. At all. He just kind of drops it on the floor next to him. And now they've all gone down into what looks like a level of hell. That's just wonderful. Well, if I stay here, I'll never hear the end of it. Fine. He walks over to the edge of the hole and is just going to jump. Feet first.
All right. Make me a strength athletics check.
Ooh. I am going to spend a domain die. We have a few.
Yep.
So. That's a lot better. That's a 27.
Ooh.
You jump into what looks like a fiery pit, and boom, you land in a just perfect heroic pose next to Drown, completely standing upright at the ready, just a few 12 feet below you.
Well, where seems to be the trouble?
In what looks to be a cavern.
Right.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of screaming going on down here, but I don't see where's.
Drown's really starting to reconsider this invitation to join the Dawnbringers. They're a bunch of idiots.
Just got to sort the assets. That's all.
Where's Thorgarn?
Sort the ass what's?
You heard me.
The assets.
All right, what are you doing, Talmud?
Where's Thorgarn?
He's in this cave.
Talmud's gonna head that direction.
All right, it'll take you 35 feet of movement to get to from where you dropped to get to the opening of the cavern.
I think that's what I have. That is what I have.
All right. And I'm not counting any movement for you to jump down in the hole.
Okay.
So if you wanted to use your action to dash, you could use half of that additional movement to get through this crawl space. Or you can...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do so.
So you have 35 feet of movement, so we'll say it takes you 15 feet to get through the crawl space, leaving you another 15 feet to move into the room where you see the fire elemental and Thorgarn standing at what looks to be the back of the cavern, staring at the wall.
Oh no, they've lost their minds.
Go ahead and make me an investigation check.
Can they see the tendril coming out of the cavern wall?
We're going to find out.
Okay.
Investigation. That's going to be a 12 plus an 11 total.
No. Talmud cannot. Thorgarn is the only one so far who's actually seen what's behind the illusion.
I'm good at this game.
All right. It is now the Memory Eater's turn. I'm going to grab another Dawnbringer die. Griveth. You kind of look down through this hole where, as you watch as Talmud moves through, and you sort of have one hand up on what feels like the stone of the cavern wall, because it's actually on the stone of the fireplace, and something begins to twine its way around your hand, and I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
I'm going to use a domain die.
Sure.
Okay. That is 18.
That is exactly what you needed.
Ooh.
As you almost reflexively jerk your hand back, and as this thing was touching your hand, you just have a quick jolt of a flash back in that cavern when you were in this cavern and you had the waterfall and you were communing with Eldath, trying to cleanse the taint of the Gulthias tree from you. It just hits you for a second and then it's gone. 1, 2. Thorgarn. As you are standing before this mass that seems to encapsulate all of the refugees, you see their forms shifting within, and a shadow begins to shift within it and move between two of the forms. It's much smaller than the other shadows, and it seems to, as if a figure was stepping through a waterfall. It steps through, breaks the surface tension of this ooze, and you watch as Shamoira, the gnome, steps out in front of you. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
That's not good. Is it saying anything, doing anything?
Not yet.
So I'm going to use a domain die. That's better. 19.
She opens her mouth to speak. And as she does so, you see as tendrils spill out of her mouth. Just seem to continuously fall very rapidly, and they form into these two branches of tendrils that quickly braid themselves together, and each of them lash out at you to physically attack you. And you also are going to be succumbing to a physical attack back out in the other room, Griveth, as you were the subject of the other attack. You avoided the memory drain, but from out of the cave wall on your side, it appears as though these vines are attacking you. So first, Thorgarn, does a 23 hit you?
Yeah.
Does a ooh. All right, we'll deal with this one in a second. I rolled a natural 1. So I'm going to resolve the hit against you. That is going to be, and I'm going to roll this damage with all Dawnbringer dice. That is 8, 11, 16 plus 3 is 19, bludgeoning plus 8 psychic damage. So a total of 27 points of damage as this first braid of tendrils lashes out and strikes you. The second one lashes out, but it seems to almost move in slow motion, or you perceive it in slow motion. It's enough that you can get an attack against it.
Oh, yeah, I will gladly.
So natural ones will almost always result in an opportunity attack, if it makes sense. That's one of my house rules.
22.
That will hit.
It's 10 damage.
All right. Griveth, in the other room.
I was holding my attack. Can I attack first?
You...
So I said if anything showed up, I was going to attack it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I didn't move. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Yeah, you moved to the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you would see these vines sort of forming in front of you. The vines themselves take on a humanoid shape that seems to be made of these vines, though Drown, you perceive it as these tendrils beginning to form some sort of simulacrum that hasn't quite taken shape yet. As it's doing so, Griveth, make your attack. Are you attacking with Dawnbringer?
Yes. So I bring Dawnbringer down. That's a 16.
That is going to hit.
Okay.
It is not an undead, so you don't get the undead bonus.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So it takes 10 damage.
All right.
And what is that? Radiant damage wouldn't do any extra thing to it, would it?
If it, I mean, I don't have the Dawnbringer up right now. It does. What was the 10 damage? Just the slashing?
Well, it does radiant.
Oh, that no. Okay, okay, I got you. Yeah, sorry. No, it does not take any additional damage because of radiant that you see.
Okay. Does that stop its attack?
It does not stop its attack.
Okay.
It is going to make 2 attacks against you. That is a natural 20.
Ooh.
And another natural 20.
You re-roll.
Okay, you want me to re-roll the natural 20?
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't a natural 20 on the second one. I was just kidding.
Okay.
So that will be 2 domain dice. I'm going to re-roll the same die.
Okay.
That's a 3. So that natural 20 turns to a 10. So you, as you lash out at it, you split apart these tendrils before they can strike you, Griveth. The second attack is a 23.
Oh, to hit me?
Yes.
Okay.
That is going to be 9, 10, 11, 12 points of bludgeoning and 8 points of psychic damage as it strikes you.
Okay.
And
it's attacking.
It most certainly is. It is now Fig's turn.
Be on your
Fig is
guard, my
still-
friends.
Fig is still up, not in the hole. And he's going to look back and see if he still sees that boy standing there in the hall.
You look back towards the door, and the little boy is still standing there. Just cocking his head, looking at you.
I think for a moment, Fig almost like mirrors his, like the cocking of his head for a moment and just kind of looking at each other for a moment until Fig just says, I have to go help them, though it would have been interesting speaking with you. And then Fig is going to, and I want, if you are okay with this, I'm totally okay with making a save, but just thematically, I imagine that he gets Hermes to help him down into the hole, like just kind of swings off of Hermes and into the hole. But mechanically, he just jumps into the hole.
Yeah, I imagine it's a fairly basic help maneuver that you could sort of grab hold of Hermes' arm and use that as he just sort of, whether intentionally or just your own weight sort of causes him to bend at the waist. He does indeed lower you down into the hole. You do, as you turn, grab Hermes' hands and drop in. The boy takes a step forward and you just hear, "Don't go." As you drop into the hole, over by the far side of the room where you found that where that other entrance was, where you had gone back to the alchemist area and found the hat that you now wear, you see the little boy standing there.
Perhaps you are also curious. Curious of the world, as I am. But at the same time, he's kind of looking for the others.
I mean, at this point, you can clearly see that Griveth is engaged with what appears to be another one of these simulacra that hasn't quite taken a form. Drown is right near you, still wrestling with one of these tendrils. Thorgarn, Talmud, and the fire elemental are nowhere to be seen, though you see the glow emanating from the fireplace, and the secret door is ajar. And the little boy is about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 feet away from you.
I think that Fig is going to... He's going to hurl something at the simulacrum that isn't quite forming in front of Griveth, and actually, I think what happens is Fig takes. You see, he takes the match from his arm that is normally used for the fireball, and he takes it out from his holder and he just strikes it against his wrist, and immediately it just lights up, and he lets go of it and it just hangs there, and he puts his both hands around it and he just begins making this circle around this matchstick, and slowly the stick begins to turn and rotate, and as it does so, it begins almost like ticking like a clockwork, and it slowly gets larger and larger and larger until it almost looks like this huge clockwork orb that isn't like turning smoothly, but almost like jerking around, and it is alight with fire. And he made a flaming sphere.
And to add to your wonderful spell descriptions of clockwork, it's as if you pull the cogs and gears that were holding Figby's hand aloft above you. You sort of repurpose them into this flaming sphere, as this is also a concentration spell. So you dissipate the one and create the flaming sphere. So
yes, and he's going to move it 30 feet as a bonus action and try and hit the thing, ram it into this forming simulacrum, and must make a
it's a dex saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
That is an 18 on the die, which would make it a 21.
I'm going to get you to reroll that.
Oh, sorry, I was just stretching. Hey, I can root for my players. Whoops. 1 second. Let's get you squared up here at... All right, so I'm going to re-roll that. That new roll is a 2. It does not even see this flaming sphere coming toward it. So you will ram it for 2d6 of fire damage.
I actually cast this at a 4th level, so it's going to be 3d6. No.
4d6.
4d6. Yeah. So that's 13 plus another 6 is 19. So that's going to be 19 points of fire damage.
As the flaming sphere rams into it, all of these vines and tendrils forming it, the fire seems to surge through it. Though you feel no heat drown, the tendril in your hand, momentarily you see it as fire courses through it. In front of you, Thorgarn, you see as Shamoira and all of the slime, the ooze in front of you in this alcove momentarily pulses with this fire, and the whole thing just sort of curls back. And Shamoira actually, with these tendrils that are hanging out of her mouth, these braided tendrils, she sort of curls back and looks very feral and unlike the person you remember, as this fire has had a very adverse effect.
So this, ooze or slime on the wall, and the gnome reacted even though she hit the boy with the flame.
Oh, was it the boy? Well, yeah. No, she didn't hit the boy. She hit the thing that was Griveth was fighting, that was attached by tendril. Okay. All of these things are connected through these tendrils, and that is evident to all of you through the fire transferring through it.
Just trying to make sure I've got the bigger picture. Just because Ted understands doesn't mean,
right. Right. It is now at disadvantage until the end of its next turn. All right. Drown. You are muted.
All right. So, how far away from the entrances to this room am I? Like 30-ish feet, sounded
5,
like.
10, 15, 20, 25. 30 for you, based on where you had, when you had moved in to start wrestling with this thing. So it's 30, well, it's 20 feet to the, or 25 feet to the opening of the fireplace where the tendril goes through.
Okay. And how does it look like it would be probably pretty difficult to fit through there, I imagine? So
actually no, because it's a large fireplace.
Oh, well, all right. then I think Drown is going to basically stop trying to wrestle with the tendril at this point. It sounds like people have located it. So he's just going to charge toward the fireplace and kind of almost drop to one knee, kind of duck, slide through it into just on the other side. And so I can see...
Yeah, as soon as you get on the other side, you see across this room, and you see through the illusion that was previously there. And you see this quivering mass that is has captured all of these refugees.
All right. Then as a bonus action, he's going to hold out his hand and conjure up one of those glowing, ghostly water tentacles up out of the floor in front of the illusory wall and lash it through to attack the thing so that the people who can't tell that it's an illusion can see his tentacle attacking through it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
All right. And I got to roll a d4 to subtract. Ugh. 7. Where's my... Hang on. Where's my spell attack? So that's a 16.
That's a hit.
Whew. All right. So I'll smack it for... give it some cold damage. I think that was working last time. So he'll take 2 points of cold damage, and he'll say, "The wall's another illusion. Get in there." And I will cast Armor of Agathis on myself because this thing hurts.
All right.
And then I'll be done.
Cantriel.
Well, I'm basically going to follow everyone through the fireplace to see what the hell is going on.
All right.
And I see it, I'm assuming, because
yes.
I've broken the illusion. Okay, so at this point, can I shift the sworn enemy?
Yeah, as you go to make an attack on what you can now clearly see, you can...
Oh, let's.
You can whisper the phrase to your mother, the bow.
Lovely. Let's do that one then. So, with narrowed eyes, I look to this disgusting mass. Swift death to you who have wronged me. And let's see what I can do. Don't you frickin' start, Jake!
Hey, you can whisper, but I can't.
Does a 20 hit?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, lovely. All right, so then that is going to be 16, 18 points piercing for the first.
18 points of piercing.
Yes.
All right.
I get another one. And that's going to be a 17.
Yes, that is a hit.
Okay, and that is going to be 12, 16, 21 piercing. And then Mother comes to play.
All right.
So then Mother, seeing the arrows striking and making some damage, she's going to mosey over and try and do strength drain. And that's going to be 19.
That's going to be a hit.
That's going to be lovely. And that's going to be 8 points necrotic.
And D4 strength.
Nope. 4.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, knowing where this thing is, you guys are starting to put a hurt on this, and everywhere that you're seeing, oh, Fig's gone, but Fig is seeing and anybody that can see this little boy that's standing down there just looking, seems to momentarily become not incorporeal, but rather the ooze form seems to become apparent as it suddenly looks as if it's covered in this thick sheen of oil. Each time a hit is struck against it, it seems to struggle to maintain that look. Let's try that again. What was that D4 roll on the strength drain?
Its strength is reduced by 4.
So, oops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So it's strength. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna do a thing to it.
Does that hurt?
That's Oh, so what does that do to? +2.
Basically -2 to all of its strength-based stuff.
Yeah, I'm just figuring for all of its bludgeoning attacks what the new modifier is. So, yes, excellent. So Mother of the Shadow has gone. Fire
Is she
elemental.
independent? She's not a bonus action, right?
No, she's
not.
She works on her own after your initiative.
Okay, then shouting over to Thorgarn. I think it's time we finally get rid of this thing, don't you? And giving you Bardic Inspiration, and it's now a D8. Now I'm done.
Okay, it is currently the Fire Elemental's turn. With advantage, it can make an investigation check.
It's so smart. Ooh, but it rolls a 19, so it has a 17 on its investigation check.
Seeing what's happening around it, it sort of does this big hulking. It's watching everybody apparently attacking at the wall, and you just watch it as it's going, and then it just suddenly goes, oh, like it suddenly sees through the illusion, and it can attack at the mass.
All right, so it's actually going to dart forward with this hissing of steam and low muffled roaring of fire and kind of move into the big ooze's space.
Of course it is.
It is going to deal D10 fire damage to it and ignite it. So he's going to, at 1, he takes a little spark as he starts to catch fire. And he's going to make 2 touch attacks against it. +6s. So that's going to be 15 and 14. Lovely.
For its attacks?
2 attack rolls, yeah.
Both of those are going to miss, or rather be less effective.
Yep. Unfortunately. All right, he's done.
Okay, so 1 point of fire damage.
And it's on fire.
Oh, it is on fire.
Mm-hmm. So it takes a D10 at the start of each of its turns.
Okay. Okay, we'll resolve that when it starts its turn then. Yep. Thorgarn.
All right, so because it's on fire, is it just it's at a disadvantage or I'm at an advantage?
What?
Huh?
You said something about disadvantage because of fire.
Because it was attacked. It has an aversion to fire, as Drown learned last night. So because it was hit with fire, until the end of its next turn, its attacks and ability checks are at disadvantage.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't on our side. So I let out a scream, kind of looking at this mutated gnome with its tentacles coming out of its mouth. You dare! And I just come in at it, raging. Natural 20 on my first attack and a 28 on my second.
Damn.
Those are gonna hit.
So your inspiration, your valor, right? So I can use that for damage. So I will go ahead and throw a smite on that crit. So do I have enough D8s here? I'll just have to reroll some. Sorry, doing quick math here. So 38 points of damage on the first strike. And then 12 on the second. You know what? I'll make that a smite too. So make that 12 and 18. That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, you lay into this thing with fury, and you see the forms that you're engaged with Griveth dissipating. Fig, you see that figure of that little boy again struggling to hold its form. It seems to turn into a almost like a gelatin mold over its skin. As you see its features sort of melt a bit, it struggles to maintain its illusion. Griveth, it's your go.
All right, so everyone is in the main cavern now with the thing, right?
No, you and Fig and Talmud. No, Talmud, you went through, didn't you? You and Fig are still in the first room.
Okay. Can I, with what Drown did, do I see it now, or is it still just a wall that I'm seeing everybody attack?
You're in the other room fighting one of the tendrils that's formed into a loose form of a simulacrum.
Okay.
So you're not in the other room to even see what's going on.
He saw Drown
you
go
can-
through the fireplace, though, right?
You did see Drown go through the fireplace.
Yeah.
I would like you to make an investigation check at advantage.
Okay. Okay, 10.
With advantage?
Yeah.
And you're +3?
For my investigation.
Okay.
I'm at +0, I think.
You're still in that cavern.
Yeah, his +3 is just for saves.
Yeah,
oh yeah, just saves. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no way I'm leaving Fig alone in here with the tendril. It's still attacking, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's beginning to form into some humanoid shape.
Oh, okay.
And you are engaged with it, so.
Okay. I saw Fig do the rolling fireball thing.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty much right in front of you, just rammed into it. So, yeah, you definitely saw that.
Right. So I'm gonna follow Fig's lead, and I cast Searing Might, which is a bonus action. So not only is the Dawnbringer glowing, yellow hot, it's also flaming now. So I'm going to lay into this thing, and as I swing, I kind of glance over. There's kind of like I sense a light or like a warmth to my right, and out of the periphery of my eye, I kind of see like a golden woman, like also like almost mimicking my swing, like into this thing.
A little more than hallucinatory terrain. What kind of mushrooms were in Griveth's omelet this morning?
There are some good ones. All right. I got a 18 and a 15.
The 18 is going to hit.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay, the fire does extra damage. Okay, so that's 15 points of damage. And with Fiery Smite, or I'm sorry, Searing Smite, the thing catches fire. It has to make a Constitution. Let's see. Hold on. It ignites into flames, and at the start of each of its turns, it has to make a Constitution saving throw.
It's already burning. It can't burn anymore. The fire elemental set it on fire too. So this thing is pretty much, you guys are lighting it on fire from both ends, basically.
Okay, so it's not really going to do anything.
Well, no, it's still.
Since it's already on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What
so
I'll say is, at the start of its turn, you can both add fire damage because you are at different ends of this thing, setting it afire.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Talmud. We're back at the top of the order. I would like you to make an investigation check at advantage.
$17.
You are able to, through watching what everybody's doing, slowly over the next several seconds, the illusion of the cavern slips away, and you see the reality before you. And you see that it looks like your allies are putting one hell of a hurt on this thing. What would you like to do?
So, between this illusion kind of fading in front of Talmud and him finally realizing what horrific visage they're fighting, and the murmuring whispers of Vi's like beckoning in his ears, in his mind at least,
Talmud.
He's going to kind of his tattoos begin to kind of softly glow, almost reluctantly, kind of hesitantly creeping down his arms and up his neck onto his face and his head. And finally, this dwarven visage comes out of Talmud's face, and this is one that I don't think the party has seen yet. This is a small-looking, timid, young female dwarf. This kind of ghostly face that is now kind of taken over Talmud's, and Talmud's whole body kind of changes, his expression, and he kind of pulls into himself. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. No. And he reaches into his pack suddenly and pulls out this glass vial and chucks it across the room. I have an alchemist fire that I am throwing at this thing.
All right.
Sorry, everybody who's standing next to it. So that's a 17 on the die. So plus my strength. I don't remember if I add proficiency with
17 alone is enough to.
Okay. Cool.
To hit it.
So there's this shattering of glass as this device crashes into the base of this thing.
Indeed. Which actually you didn't have to roll to make an attack. Or yeah, you do. Making a ranged attack. Oh yeah, sorry. This is what I get for reading ahead, and not the in-between stuff. So yeah, 1d4 fire damage to it.
Sadly, that is only going to be a 2.
All right. So everybody who has dealt continuous fire damage, is it at the start of its turn or the end of its turn? I think it's the start of its turn.
It's the start for the fire elemental, for sure.
So
it's the start for me too.
Both of you
And
roll
it's the
your
end
fire
for
damage. All three of you roll your fire damage.
I don't know. I'll look mine up.
Yours is a DC 10 dexterity check to extinguish the fire as an action.
So the fire elemental's burning deals 7.
So you would roll another d4 because it is the start of its turn, Jeremy.
Mhm.
So 7. Griveth, what you got?
3.
Okay. Big?
So it's at the end, and it has to make a dex save.
Okay. So at the end. So that d4, Jeremy, what you got?
3 more.
Because you're nickel and diming this thing with fire. So this thing begins to pulse and surge. Parts of it are wilting and withering away. Dan,
Oh dear. Yes.
I need you to roll me a d12.
Okay. The 3.
Okay, I'm just writing that down. And then let's see. I need my d6. And that's fitting, I think. So Talmud, as you rush in this form of this sort of timid, angry young dwarf, you hurl this alchemist's fire. A new form emerges from the fire, a flame, reaching towards you, and I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Am I within 10 feet of Griveth?
No, Griveth's in the other room.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So it's going to be a 15.
Remember, you can choose to pass.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming I failed.
You did fail.
Okay, then yeah. I will activate the gauntlet.
So you feel this thing begin to leach into your mind, and you're able to push away from it. Flaming tendrils spill from its mouth. The flame is hurting it. It's not going to actually do fire damage to you. As they come out at disadvantage, that is going to be a 19 to hit. And a 16 to hit. Both of those are going to hit you. Talmud, as these two tendrils lash out, you are going to take, I'm going to do this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then a total of 12d6 here. You take, oh boy, those are all 6s and 5s. In bludgeoning damage, you take, of course, you're having it, but you take 18, 28, 38, halved to 19 bludgeoning damage. And you won't be having this, and of course, it's all 1s. 7 points of psychic damage as these lash out at you. And
Talmud just screams in this this child's voice at the top of his lungs in agony.
Seeing that it struck you 2 solid blows, it's going to continue its assault on you, Talmud. I need you to make another wisdom saving throw.
I'm going to spend a domain die because a 14 is not going to cut it. That's a 15. So,
real quick, is he up next to the main body of the ooze thing or one of the simulacrums?
He's pretty much right in front of it. Well, actually, no, because he never advanced on it. He just pulled that alchemist fire out. So the simulacrum advanced toward him. So he's kind of in the middle of the room.
Okay, how far away from the tentacle is he? The tentacle is 10 feet in front of the ooze.
So that would be 5, 10, 5, about 10 feet.
Okay, perfect. All right, then as a reaction, Drown is going to snap his fist, and the tendril is going to the tentacle is going to wrap. It looks like it's striking at Talmud, but then it sort of twines protectively and interposes itself between him and the simulacrum that's assaulting his mind. The tendril will be destroyed, but it'll cut the damage you take in half.
For psychic damage?
Everything, and that's not resistance. It's on top of it.
Okay.
So, but it does destroy the tentacle.
All right, so the total psychic damage that you're going to take initially is 10, 20, 21, 29, 30, 34, 40, 42. So that will be halved to 21 psychic damage.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But these tendrils are also going to lash out at you again. And that will all be quartered?
No. That's just against that one instance.
Oh,
of damage,
okay.
And then the tentacles.
I got you. So that one instance destroyed it. So it'll just be halved from the. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then my Dawnbringer dice. So bludgeoning damage. So a lot of sixes again. 10. 20, 26, 27, 28, 29 bludgeoning damage.
Is there an attack roll to go with it?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I should probably roll the attack, huh? So if I hit, I'm like, what are you guys saying? So at disadvantage, that's a nat 20 and a 15.
The 15 will still hit.
The 15 hits, so that's still 29 bludgeoning.
Do you want to re-roll that? I don't know how you are on hit points, Talmud. We got
Is that bludgeoning?
Yeah. It'll be halved to 15.
I'm going to let it ride.
There's still psychic damage coming with it.
Yeah.
Which is not halved, so that's 12, 16, 17 psychic damage.
Yeah, what's that?
And then the final attack.
Oh my god.
At disadvantage, that is a 17.
Reroll.
That's 2 domain dice. Rerolling. We got a 14, which would be a 19. But at disadvantage, I rolled a natural 1. So as this last tendril lashes out at you, Talmud, there's this moment of clarity, and you see the tendril coming towards you. And you see that one split second you have to react. You have one opportunity attack.
Okay, so I think I still had Gerta out from where I was smashing the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of instinctively, this child says, "Stop it!" and swings Gerta at this tendril. Okay, that's a 23 to hit.
That is going to hit.
Good. All right. That is 13 points. No, I'm sorry. Wait. 8 to 12, and then 3 is a 15 points of damage.
Seriously?
Yeah. Is that enough for you, Jake? Are you happy?
Can you see that number right there?
185?
185. It had 200 hit points. You just hit exactly what you needed. Talmud, describe how you destroy this tendril and the simulacra.
How do you want to goo this?
How do you want to goo this? I love you and hate you, Dan. All at once. I love you for the pun. I hate you for stealing it. For saying it before I could. I didn't even think of it. How are you going to goo this?
So, seeing it coming again, instinctively, this child reaches out with this ancestral maul and just screams, "Stop it!" and brings down the maul right on top of the simulacrum's head. And there's this kind of wet, like sucking noise as the head of the maul just kind of buries the head of this creature down like into its upper torso. And then the rest of the creature just kind of like loses its shape, almost kind of like becoming more liquid, more viscous, or less viscous, and it just kind of like splashes out over the entire floor, covering me and Thorgarn too. Because
in the other room, Griveth and Fig, you watch as the simulacra, they sort of hesitate for a moment and then they collapse into goo on the ground. The rest of you in that room, you watch as the pulsing ooze, the red glow, fades and it begins to drip in thick, just sort of thunk, thunk, and begins running faster and faster. Dan, I had you roll me a d12. I'm going to have you roll a d12. Now we've locked in the number 3, so I'm going to have you roll a d12 3 times.
3 times. Do you want individual results?
I want individual rolls.
All right.
And pause.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. 4. Okay.
6.
All right. As the ooze begins to fall away, you watch as the 12 refugees that were captured inside this main ooze body begin to drop to the floor. Almost immediately, you see Laramie and Velitha begin to and start pulling themselves up, and you watch as others begin to move. But Barlin, Vagrant, and Montree lie unmoving on the floor. 3 of the 12 original refugees have died from their injuries sustained either physically or mentally, possibly through your own assaults on this thing. Dan, that's your inaugural. I'm gonna make you roll to see what kind of to see who you hurt.
I was gonna say that first D12 roll was pretty important.
Yeah. Ted knows about those.
Oh yeah, how was it? 110 people.
Keep in mind, you guys still don't know how many dead there are in Saltmarsh yet.
So I have a quick question. The simulacra that the Talmud attacked.
Mm-hmm.
That was that Shamorla to everyone or just to me?
You'd have to ask them.
Okay. Oh, all right. But it is what I saw when Talmud attacked, right?
No, the one that Talmud attacked was a different simulacrum. Okay. A different one had emerged to attack him.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys don't know yet if everybody saw the same thing or if you were individually seeing certain things. But basically, over the next few minutes, everybody, this thing collapses around. The ooze just turns into a liquid ooze that actually quickly, almost like if you spilled lamp oil on the floor and let it burn away, or fuel or something and let it burn away, the fire that was ignited seems to burn away, so there is no trace of this thing left. There's even a couple moments where some of the refugees are sort of patting themselves out. And when we join the Dawnbringers next, we will deal with the aftermath of this assault that lasted, 3 sessions that you were dealing with this?
Thereabouts.
So I will say, because I know some of you figured it out, some of you didn't, and maybe some of the people in chat don't know what was going on, but I have been using a slightly modified Elder Oblex from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. which is actually a wonderful creature worth looking at anyway, because of the story in which this creature came about to be, that this was the result of a Make-A-Wish, that an individual, and I don't remember their name, I think it's in the front of the book, it talks about that, but they were created as part of this person got to work with wizards and help to create this Wizards of the Coast, not actual wizards, though maybe.
Nolan Whale was his name.
Excellent, thank you, Dan. And so I think just the story of how it came out to be is pretty fascinating, and so this is only the second time I've used one, but it kind of means something a little special when there's a cool story attached to it like that. And then I tweaked it. I gave it additional attacks. I played around with damage thresholds and hit point totals. I used sort of a multi-attack approach to decide that it got multiple attacks on the round with its psychic because of the this thing's an Elder Oblex. And in this case, within our game, this was something called a Memory Eater. That perhaps was just an ooze lingering in this house, waiting until people occupied it, that it could steal their memories. For all you know, it was feeding off of the smugglers when they were there. But when new people moved in, but as of right now, the Dawnbringers have dealt with the threat of the Memory Eater, and it's not even noon yet. So
oh, for the love of
who
God.
knows how long this day will last? The last day lasted like 5 or 6 sessions. I do want to say, look at that. You guys got yourself right at the tail end. Undead King just subbed, or resubbed. I do want to say a huge thank you to the chat. Chat has been on fire tonight. We got raided by Unmade Gaming. We got raided by Geekly Inc. earlier in the stream. We got a bunch of new subs. Thank you to Tomiko, who is just like the mini terrain domain Santa out there, just distributing gift subscriptions. So thank you, Tomiko, for that. I mentioned the raid from our friend Mike over at Unmade Gaming, which means V.
Yes.
You want to tell us real quick about the project you got that you're working on?
Oh, that thing. Yes. So myself with Mike from Unmade Gaming and McLookin from Dan's campaign, World Tree Burns. He's another player, as is author Rory. And we're being DM'd by Video Store Cowboy. And it is set in the Humblewood setting, except we're giving it a nice little piratey theme. And we are doing a podcast called Dark Fortunes. And you can find us basically wherever I was going to say podcasts are sold. No, podcasts can be found. So check us out on Anchor. Truly no pun intended. And it'll lead you to the other places where you can also listen to the podcast. And it airs every Monday morning at 7:30 Eastern Time. And it is about an hour long. And we're actually recording some more episodes this weekend. And mine's on Monday.
As I say, the first 2 episodes are out. The second episode just came out. And I know the first one are the first few episodes going to be these one-offs as we're introducing the characters?
Yes, each episode is going to be an introduction to the character.
That's just fascinating because I think it's a great way, as somebody who's new to Humblewood and all of that, I thought it was really cool to kind of spend that roughly hour and a half of that first session learning what these words meant of all of these different unique animal races, and like, ooh, what is one of those? What is that? What does that mean?
It's cool.
And then when he describes what he looks like, and you're like, oh, he's a skunk. That's so cool. So it is fascinating to kind of to picture this, and I love the way it's produced. I can't wait to hear the rest of them. I haven't had a chance to listen to the second episode yet, but yeah, be sure to check that out. You want to get in now while it's brand new. We just lost somebody.
We lost Ted.
So the stream's gonna skew.
Hello.
So, but anyway, we'll see if Ted pops back in here.
Hand.
If he pops back in here in a moment, it'll straighten out. If not, well, this is what we get.
Hi.
So
hi.
This is awesome.
you guys crack me. I was gonna just fix it with my phone, but I'm just gonna leave it. So
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
So I do have a correction. Tamiko is not the MTD Santa. She is the MTD concierge.
Very nice.
But we thank you nonetheless for that. Welcome to all of the new subscribers and followers. Be sure to continue, hit that follow button. Check out everything. Look, if you're here on Twitch, look down below. There's a bunch of cool tabs you can hit for donating to Jaspers, buying some mini terrain domain coffee and helping Jaspers. You can become a patron. You can check out the Amazon wish list that I will be adding a boom arm for my microphone that broke right at the beginning of the stream. There's Ko-Fi, just straight up, tipping, all that kind of stuff that helps the stream. But simply just hitting that follow button and tuning in with us each week. We've got the Dawnbringers. Tomorrow night I'll be over on YouTube from 7:30 to 9:30 on youtube.com/mini terrain domain for the live crafting stream called Just Crafting. And I will be doing continuing work on a dice tower that I'm working on. And then Sunday night, we've got our Chult of Personality, Tomb of Annihilation campaign returning. Monday nights, we've got All That Glitters, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Tuesday is Legends and Legacies. We are adding a brand new player. I'm very pleased to announce that my son, Zachary, will be joining that stream as well. And then coming up on Wednesday in a couple weeks, I will be over on Erasmus Expeditions. What is that monstrosity? You guys are definitely hard to ignore. In a couple weeks, I will be over on this Maniac's channel, over on Erasmus Expeditions, for another game of Whispers and Fragments Momentum. And coming up in March, I will be over on A Fistful of Dice, playing my first Hyperspace D6 game run by Matt Click. I get to play along with Tim Carney, Michael Barker, and Lloyd Collins. And we are playing
that tomorrow night.
We are playing Bounty Hunters. And I am the pilot. I am picture me as a Twi'lek. So picture me with head tails, because he's a heavy set Twi'lek bounty hunter pilot. You guys are incorrigible. So I feel the last thing I want to say is a tremendous thank you to my well-disciplined adult friends.
Maybe not.
A huge thank you to Scotty, V, M, Dan, Jeremy, and even though he's not here, Ted. Jeremy, did you leave Dan hanging?
What?
Dan was trying to fist bump you through the...
Oh, no.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
Ooh, there we go.
Form of a disruptive stream.
I was watching the making of the Sistine Chapel over there.
Yeah, I know.
Right. See, we make the most of our technical difficulties here. Everybody's punchy.
We're easy to entertain.
So be sure, if you want to stay up to date on what's going on with the channel and everything else, just be sure to follow at MTD_Jake on Twitter, where I'll keep you updated on the skinny for the streams. I just lost another die on the floor. All right, that's my cue. It's time to get out of here. We are going to end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
Matata! Matata! Matata!